Hey everyone, Hans here, hope you're doing well. Today I wanted to make a video about relationships and a little bit about having children in a broader sense. Maybe first go into why I want to bring in children is because a lot of good people, some I consider friends of mine even, not sure what they would say about me, but that stays in the middle. Some people I consider friends too. They are in a bit of a scare. They're a bit afraid that the white race is going to be outnumbered. There's going to be less and less of us. We're already the minority of the world. Did you know? Of course you didn't, because you're not allowed to know. But you can look these things up. Okay, so in regards to that, I would say that to go around and making people get into a panic is the single worst move. If you want to pass on your fear to others, now you have actually uh, prevented them from having children, because scared people do not procreate. They simply don't. If you go around and say that there is a predator in the grass around every corner, uh, you tell them that you need to, you tell people that they need to have children. You know what a healthy, normal, responsible white person would do? Is not have children, because they would not expose a young babe to such predators. I'm not saying you should lie either, that there is nothing going wrong with the world, or that there isn't any anti-whiteism, to be more precise. But you need to present that accordingly, well, with confidence, and with the spirit of we will overcome this. Part of that overcoming is to have healthy children. Which is also something that's then, and this is more so the point of the video, is not ever brought up. It's just have children, just throw them all on a big pile of white babies. Yeah, and then what? What happens then? You know that a lot of white anti-whites were white babies too at some point, and they rose to hate their own people, hate themselves, even want to hurt their own people. You want more of that? It's not gonna end well. Not only do those types get in the way, these types will actively oppose you, dummy. Or panicked person who should be a bit more wise, I suppose. Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit less less calm when it comes to these sort of things, because a lot of births might have just been prevented because of this nonsense, this attitude. Plus, these people, when they have such a big mouth, they had better have a big family themselves, or at least one child, to begin with. Replacement rate 2 to 3 children. Go for 3. No, you don't have that, then don't come tell me to have children. It's maybe also a little bit of self-awareness that's required. And I'm saying that because I care, not because I'm angry with those people, although a little bit I am. But that's not the main reason why I bring this up. Okay, so, going into, oh yeah, and quality. That is the big thing. You need quality children. What does that mean? Is that children who come from healthy parents with who are self-realized or as close to that as possible. At still a fertile age, I suppose. They need to be able to teach children to be independent, that they should be proud of themselves for the good they do, and learn from that which is unappreciated behavior. Because young children will test you, but you need to do it right. You need to teach them right, and it actually isn't that hard. If you're just going to tell any white that they just have to throw babies out, pump them out like units, then I can only say that is a disgusting attitude. No, quality children who are raised in a qualitative manner, so that they become strong, healthy, capable, independent grown-ups. And then you have something good going. Preferably also free from all kinds of ideologies and organized religions. Independent is being able to think for yourself, not to be told to think in a certain field only, and accept nothing else. that should perhaps be brought up more. Quality children, because a quality child will do the work of 100 useless people, I suppose. And it was always a matter of quality. But now, going into relationships. Okay, going into relationships. What I wanted to get into, and this is something I think I do not have brought up yet, is that you are not responsible for the mental state of your partner or your spouse. What you need to do then, there are three types of abuse that I can think of when it comes to that. You have those who are materially abusive, those who are emotionally abusive, and just the types who are psychologically abusive. And most of it is always aligned. You have these amazing combos of the three. Oh yeah, physically abusive as well. So there's actually 4. Yeah. Amazing, isn't it? If you have someone that you like, that you're, if you're interested in someone as a partner, and they exhibit any of these behaviors, you call that out, and you give them one chance only to explain themselves and to stop it. That is the healthy thing. This 3 times and then you're out thing, no, not in relationships. You need to have self-respect. Maybe I should bring that up first and foremost. Before you have a partner, before you look for a partner, you better respect yourself. You better love yourself. Because if you cannot love yourself and you cannot respect yourself, you cannot love someone else in the first place, so you're wasting their time as much as your own. And if you do not respect yourself, then you're going to let yourself be walked all over, and you're not going to go into a healthy relationship with anyone. It's not going to happen. There is no exceptions in that field. You may last for 20 years or something. Like all of these broken marriages. Last for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And then afterwards you're happy that it was over. And it could all have just been prevented. And you now missed out on that amazing person that you would have a happy 20 years or whatever with. Which would be longer too. The soul mate. Someone who has the same spiritual pursuits as you, that's always a huge bonus. You need to find someone with similar virtues. That means also house etiquette. Do you like the same things in a household? If you are someone who likes a quiet house but your partner likes loud music, well, there's a problem, isn't there? Can you overcome that? Or do you have to say, oh well, it's a bit of a pity, but guess we can't go on because we would make each other miserable. These little things count, How many children do you want is also a big one, going back to the children point. How do you want to raise them? Do you want to raise them independently? Well done. You're on your path to goodness, to being a good parent. If not, if you want to tie them to some sort of religion or want to send them off to some sort of precinct or whatever to be taught there, a school, not to call it by its right name, I suppose. Yes, you're about to fail. You're just perpetuating the system, if you will. That has caused what we live in right now in 2022 as this video is made. But of course you make up your own mind about that. Maybe Hans is just spewing nonsense. So, coming to that, loving yourself, respecting yourself, and you're not responsible for the state of mind of another. If they're physically abusive, well, it's physical abuse. Yeah, they're punching you, they're throwing down your favorite. They're just punching you or whatever, they're scratching you. That's physical abuse, we all understand that, right? Emotional abuse is something that a lot of vampiric types, these psychopaths, sociopaths, etc. Emotional abuses, they make you feel great at first, and then afterwards they make you absolutely feel terrible. And that is feeling based, emotions. It is valid because, again, emotions can feed you and can drain you. And drained people do not live life to the fullest and cannot care for children that well either. So again, plus you definitely want emotional abuses away because it will do the same to children. Actually, with physical, all these abuses will be passed on to children one way or the other. These are sick people who need to deal with their own issues, and if they won't, well, then they're even worse than the ones who do, but you're not responsible for that. They are. That's their individual journey. And whether they were hurt themselves does not give them the excuse to hurt you. Then they should just enact uh, a healthy retaliation towards those that perpetuated abuse against them, which has nothing to do with you. Ideally, you just stay away of it. Okay, so physical, emotional, psychological abuse. What would be a good example there? Psychological abuse. I guess it lies close to emotional abuse. The psychological abuse is something along the lines of always, these verbal fights, I suppose. Just making you uncomfortable, telling you how lowly you are. Yeah, it's kind of attached to the emotional. Right now I can't think of a detached example of that, but it's something to bear in mind. Not every attack on you verbally is necessarily going to have an emotional impact, but it's just going to break your esteem. Yeah, maybe that's it. You're trying to break your self-esteem, trying to break your confidence. And people who do that, yeah, they are not loving you. Actually, again, with all these abuses, people who do that to you, they're not loving you, they're just taking advantage of you in some way or the other. To them, you've lowered your guard. To them, the predator. Please realize that. It may just save your life from absolute misery. I think actually the MGTOW organization would get some value out of hearing this video now that I think about it, because I think a lot of them are have fallen for that. They didn't realize this. It's not always their fault, and there are disgusting types in that organization, but I think most of them have will recognize themselves in this. And then the final one, yeah, material abuse is just think of a spouse who's running off with your money. That's material abuse. Breaking your favorite mug on the floor, never doing the dishes but let you do it even though you come home from some job or whatever while they've been at home all the time. I've seen it in other households. And yeah, these are the sorts of things to look out for, to stay away from. And people in such a state, you do not owe them anything. Other people hurt them, not you, so they do not get to act it out on you. That's actually just generally good life advice. And don't pull back when they come at you, just call it out. It's not because, what would be a good example? It's not because your mother abused you that you now get to abuse me. You'll see them go quiet real quick. Are you always that neurotic? Are you taking pills to maintain your emotional state? These sorts of questions, you can ask them that. There's nothing wrong with it. And you're not, and especially the big one, you do not get to perpetuate the abuse that you've suffered onto me, because I have nothing to do with that, which is perfectly fine. And they may still scream at you, whatever, depending on how insane or criminally insane they are, or unsane. They just don't want to face it. But that's also, that's probably also the dying cry of the predator before they flee away into the darkness and go find another victim. I suppose you can call the police if you are aware of what is that called? If you are aware of these types, especially when it's like this person is unhealthy and wants to hurt, or just spread it around the community. This is what our ancestors did. They weren't protected by any sort of government force. They were protected by reputations. If you had people like that, that reputation would go around. You know what that means? Is that people talked with each other about these things. There is something like privacy, of course. But if it comes to abuse, no, then you should go out with it. And don't feel bad for yourself. By the way, if you love yourself and respect yourself, you will not take that sort of thing in the first place. This is something to pursue. This is why you need to look out for yourself. And guess what? If you are like that, man or woman, both of you, if you keep chasing away the baddies, you're gonna make more room for good people in your life. I can't say it enough. Let these hyenas tear each other apart. Don't be part of that mess. And if you see a friend who is going through this sort of thing, I suppose, if you think you can call out to it, call them out and say, hey, well, boy or girl, this person is abusing you in one of the four or some of the four. These amazing combos. May want to get rid of that. Get these ill influences out your life. You deserve better. Even people who stand by that we reincarnate, it's like, even if you reincarnate, you may only be around every so many centuries or whatever. Like, why would you waste that experience? Whatever it's gonna be. Why would you waste that experience? No. Don't take that nonsense. Is there something else I can add to that? Yeah, and again, do you then also see by such people being like either encouraged to go or encouraged to deal with their own issues on their own time? Well, maybe they'll turn around and they do turn good. They may come back with flowers and apologies, genuine ones, hopefully. And then you can say, okay, you do not even necessarily need to forgive them, that's your own choice. These people who push forgiveness, it's what have they done to others that they so eagerly want that? To be a norm in society. I tell you, be careful with that. These types. But yeah, maybe it encourages people to become better. That would be nice. And then again, you will attract good people, and with these good people, if you find a nice girl or a nice boy that you can then, have a relationship with, good man, good woman, have children with them, aren't we then looking at a better society already? Right off the bat. Won't be many in the beginning, but hey, you got to start somewhere, right? There is a minimum number that is required for a race to keep going and have healthy offspring and all of that. We're miles above that number, so please, we have that room, right? And if in the meantime this panic of, we're gonna be outbred and it's all gonna be bad, these other races will express their own biospirits, yeah, and that may be, that may result into more anti-whiteism in society. I hope not. We're gonna see what it will be like, won't it? What happens? But if that becomes a lodestone around your neck, you're not gonna get anywhere. There is barely, the most success that I see in the white positive sphere, where most people do have children together, is in spheres where it's all, positive minded. Like, they're aware of this, but there's no weight around their necks about it. Like, they know that if, here's the thing: one family, let's say a young couple, they are healthy, they're stable, they're independent, they love life, they love the world that they live on, they want to do the right things, they are unbound by any particular ideologies or what have you. And they have 7 children, and you have a few couples of these, a few thousand couples. In one generation, you could have an explosion of more children if you want to. It's not that hard, really. Well, working on yourself part, I'm not gonna pretend it's easy, but that is where you need to go. Why aren't we talking more about working on yourself first? Could it be that there are some in the white positive sphere who are afraid to do that, and they just want to bypass the necessary steps? They want to cheat? Well, guess what? There's no such thing as spiritually cheating yourself. Well, that is to say, you can't cheat yourself, that's the case, but you can't cheat spirituality. No. No. Hey. Yeah. So I hope, broad as it is, that gives a bit of help, a bit of insights for people, that they know what to do with what they meet someone else. Have a set of questions ready. And here's the big one too. If you're with a partner, or if you're interested in someone and you're going out together for the first time or whatever, ask them, do you know the difference between good and evil? And then watch their answer. Because if they are like, I don't know, it's like that is the biggest warning you will ever receive from. If there is hesitation of any kind, you know you're dealing on thin ice, or you're treading on thin ice. And if they were just a bit taken aback, it's like, oh wow, I had not expected that question. That's a bit different. And if they then give an answer, well, you need to see if that is aligned with how you see it. And if after that, you need to hold them accountable, which you can do. What is good and evil to you? Oh, I think that being evil is being anti-life, which means just destroying the planet, destroying world population, uh, wrecking nature, that sort of thing, right? For example, I'm going a bit fake now, and good is just being good to myself so I can be good to others, loving myself, spreading good virtues such as honor, decency, uh, you know, pursuing morality, doing right by your fellow man, capital M man, and raising children in a healthy environment, trying to get that as best as possible, and defending your own rights. That is good. Okay, now you know all of this from this person, what he or she said, and you can look that up. Do they live like that? And anytime they don't, it's like, hey, what happened to, I don't know, the virtue of cleanliness? I thought that you thought it was good to have a clean house, and look at all your clothes here across the floor. What is going on? And maybe it's like that one timer, like every few months, the one time or so that they had to hurry or whatever and forgot something. I mean, that means nothing. But if at every single day or every single week you need to run after them, it's like, hey, you said you were cleanly and look at this mess. You know they were lying. Isn't that wonderful? Such openness, such honesty. But of course, you need to work on yourself, because that question, you should ask yourself that same question too, right? And they should be able to ask that to you. You will be accountable and responsible as well. And do you have the spine to go there? The decency, the inner good, the heart, the spirit? As the Germans used to say, Geist. Spirit and mind to do that. Maybe that is why I'm hearing more talk about just have children rather than work on yourself so you can raise the children well. Even if it's not our generation that has a lot of children, so to say. Next one still might. And then the next one can have two, and suddenly we're up back in the numbers that we want to be, to feel more comfortable, I suppose, compared to other races or whatever. Other just anti-whites, you know. Makes sense. Oh boy, I can already sense that there's gonna be a lot of people who are not gonna be happy with hearing this. Not here to be liked, guys. I'm here because I care and I want good things to happen. If you have to bite through a sour apple to get nourishment, though, well, I suppose you can choose to either bite through the sour apple and get that nourishment, or just toss the apple away and be malnourished. That is the reality of things. If you truly care, you're willing to go through that. You basically are willing to be Gandalf, who is fighting the Balrog, and just fall in this depth with this massive flaming beast. You have to fight all the way down into the chasms of the earth, into the underworld. And then you have to fight all the way up. You don't see this in the movie, but they fight their whole way back up a stairs that goes to the peak of the world, the top of the world. It's painful. Looks awesome, perhaps, to the outsider, but it's not the most fun experience. So then, it's not for everyone, but it will be for those who want to see something better happen. And in that sense, sacrificing yourself to yourself, Odin, you may just, yeah, work towards a better world. White well-being. And I'm gonna leave it there. You do with it what you see fit, of course. And hopefully it brings the two genders, the natural genders, together. Create a happier world, a healthy world, full with smiling and capable young people born from these couples. And that be that. You all have a good one, and well, bye bye.